إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran talks about love. Again, we talked about it in khutbah before. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, talks about the parents, the relationship between the parents and the children. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the children about the parents in many places in the Quran. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. This part of the verse, and with your parents, you deal with them the level of ihsan. Repeated many times. And other verses that talks to the children to take care of their fathers. But then, it is only one verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the parents about the children. Only one verse. And that verse is in the inheritance. يوصيكم الله في أولادكم للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you wasiyah, advising you what to do before you die. You do your will, and you give the portions between the boys and the girls, the boys 2 and the girls 1, and so forth. That is the only time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to the parents about the children. And it has to do with what happens when the parents dies. Not in their life. Well, they do that in the life, taking care of them. The point being is that there is a love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in us. Whether we like it or not, we do not have anything to do with it. The love that we have for our children, it is there. When the child is born, this love is there. But there is love that needs to be developed. Like the love between the children and the parents, meaning that from the child point of view is the child does not quite know what's going on until they get adult, and sometimes until they have children in their own, then they start to understand. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to them to develop that love. And so there's a love that is in us and a love that has to be developed. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as he was sitting and the companions were sitting, and one had his child with him, a little boy. And the man was dealing with his little boy in so much tenderness. And after a while, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to him and says, أَتُحِبُّهُ? Do you love him? Meaning that The love is just pouring out, and the man, it shows so much. Then the man says to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أحبك الله كما أحب. May Allah love you like I love my son. See, this is how much love he had for his son. But see now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the tenderness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not see the man for a while. After a while. And then, so he asked about him, and they said that the man, his son died. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to his house and visited him. So he said, would you, atarda, would you be pleased when at the hereafter not a door of Jannah that you will enter from except your son will be with you? He said, Arda ya Rasulullah, I am pleased ya Rasulullah. So here is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he's dealing with the companions that grows the love in their heart. How much love do we have for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And in following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the word love. In kuntum tuhibbun Allah, if you love Allah. Allah is saying that in the Quran, if you love Allah, and we all claim that we love Allah. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قُل, say, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah, if you love Allah, فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبُكُمُ اللَّهِ, follow me and Allah will love you. وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ, and your sins will be forgiven. Through the following of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, so do we follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or do we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Sometimes you would understand why the advice is given and why the command is there, and sometimes we do not. But the companions, they loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, both the intellectual love and the emotional love. Intellectual meaning that you know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger of Allah, and you know that he is telling you exactly what you need to enter Jannah in the hereafter. So your mind tell you, if you want to enter Jannah, follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is a love that is you know that you must go through this, otherwise you'll be a fool. But then that takes you also into the level of love emotionally Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You find those who met Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the first time, Al-Ansar. Okay, they were the people of Medina. They heard about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many companions came from Mecca to Medina, told them about the Quran, told them about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They already developed the love without seeing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So as soon as they saw him, their way of conduct was way indicating the love of the emotion immediately, just because they heard about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We find Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu, who the one that the camel stopped close to his home when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered Medina, and he went and took the belonging of Rasulullah, said, you are with me ya Rasulullah, you are my guest. Yeah. Now he says to Rasulullah, you go upstairs. He had two levels, said you go the level the high up. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I am a person that people come and visit me. So if you stay in the lower level, then many people will go, it will be disruption into your family, to you and your wife. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam insisted that he would stay in the lower level, so he does not bother them. So from the love that Abu Ayyub al-Ansari had to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he would not, he said, he went upstairs and he said, I could not walk on top of Rasulullah. Here is the floor, and if I go through the room back and forth and do whatever it is I'm doing, I could not get myself to do that. Okay? That is emotion. That is true love. So he said, I would go on the sides of the room. If I want to go to the other side and do something, try to not to walk too much across the room, just stay on the edges. He said that him and his wife, they had one cover, and one container of ceramic container of water broke, and he said, with this cover I wiped the water quickly before it seeped upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's it. He did not think about what we're going to be covering with, and it is cold or whatever. No, a reaction because of the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to say, we would give Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam his food, I send it to him, and then he would eat from it. Then I take it up back, and then he said, my wife and myself will sit and look at the mark of the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and will follow it and eat from it. That is love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he says, one time I gave Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam food and he did not eat it. Look at how he said, فَفُزِعْتُ. Like when he got the plate, it was not touched. He said, فَفُزِعْتُ. I was, a word meaning, I was struck, I was shocked, I was worried. Okay. What did I do? Why Rasulullah ﷺ did not eat from it? You know, it shows the effect, the emotional effect that this had on him. So he goes to Rasulullah, did we do anything wrong, Ya Rasulullah? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no. This has, it has some narration, garlic, or some narration, onions, that I am the one that is talked to, meaning Jibreel alayhi salam comes to Rasulullah. So therefore Rasulullah did not want to have a bad breath, and he does not know when Jibreel alayhi salam will come. So probably after he's finished his food and eaten this food, Jibreel alayhi salam will come. So Rasulullah did not want to bother, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, did not want to bother Jibreel alayhi salam. Then Abu Ayyub al-Ansari said, then I did not eat that kind of food anymore. He did not say, I did not serve it to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam anymore. He said, no, I did not eat it anymore. That's it. It doesn't mean it is haram. It is not haram. Rasulullah sallallahu did not say it is haram, so you can eat it. But because he saw this, he wanted to follow the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is the issue. Do we follow it because we understand? Or we follow because we just follow him? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in most cases, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the way to, the reason why something is halal or haram, or what you should do and what you should not do, and give some reasons. But in some cases, there is no reason. Example, when we in borrowing money, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one ayah, a whole page, okay, is about borrowing money from one another and writing it down. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a reason. Says, وَلَا تَسْأَمُوا أَن تَكْتُبُوهُ صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا إِلَى أَجَلٍ. Do not تَسْأَمُوا, do not be lazy or say it doesn't matter. Even if it is little or big, you write it down until its appointed time. Do not say, I'm borrowing from you just small amount of money, it's not a big deal to write it down. No, write it down. Okay? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a reason. ذَلِكُمْ أَقْسَطُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. That is more just with Allah. وَأَقْوَمُ لِلشَّهَادَةِ وَأَدْنَى أَلَّا تَرْتَابُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the three reasons. It is more just with Allah that you do so. This is also because of a witness. You're going to be getting witnesses, so the witnesses will be there and the document will be there, so there will be collaboration between the document and the witnesses. There will be witnesses on it and so forth. And also so you do not forget, or you don't quite remember, and then this is a reference so you could go back to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a reason. But then you find Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam does something and does not give us a reason. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the time of Hajj, an Umrah would go to the Kaaba, make a tawaf, and then go to Al-Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone, and Rasulullah ﷺ would kiss you. That defies, by logic, what Rasulullah ﷺ came to do. He came to break the idols, not to have any kind of respect to the idols, the stones, and so forth. But then, and to worship Allah and Allah alone. But then within the act of worship, there is a kissing of the stone. And Rasulullah ﷺ did not say anything about it. And Umar radiallahu anhu goes to the stone. And he said, I know that you do not hurt me or harm me or anything. But I saw Rasulullah ﷺ kiss you, so I will kiss you. Meaning al-ittiba'. To follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Without waiting for an answer, a reason. As the companions were praying behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the open, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had his khuf on, or his shoes on, and he was praying with it. The companions were praying, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the middle of the prayer, he took his shoes off and pushed it to the side while he was praying. Then the companions, all of them, took their shoes off and pushed it aside. Then Rasulullah ﷺ, after the prayer, asked them, why did you do that? They said, Ya Rasulullah, we saw you doing this, so we did that. That's all there is to it. They did not wait and say, let us ask, why did Rasulullah ﷺ do that? Is it a fard? Is it a sunnah? Is it because of a reason and we do not have it? None of that, which we do these days. We start to put in categorizing things and so forth. The companions were not like that. They were not like that. All they had to do is saw Rasulullah ﷺ doing that, so they did so. Then Rasulullah ﷺ made it and give them the reason. Give the reason he did that. He said, Jibreel alayhi salam came to me as I was praying and told me that there is some filth under in the bottom of the shoe. So I took it off and put it aside. So that means it had a reason, so they do not have to do that. And then Rasulullah ﷺ continued and say, then when you come to pray and in the open and you have your shoes on, look at it, make sure that it is no filth in it. If there is, rub it in dust or something, clean it up before you pray in it. And now we know the reason, we know what to do, and so forth. But not necessarily that it is something that it has to be for us to follow. This love that we should have to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a level that will make life easier for us. We cannot, the sign of loving someone, that you do not say no to them. That you see what pleases them and you do what pleases them. If we claim we love Allah, we love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then we will do what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked us to do. And Muqtad radiallahu anhu, as he was saying that he and two others, or three others, they were with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and they were in a room, and there was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was out, and there was a container of milk, and he knew, he said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his habit was, when he comes from outside and entered, he would say, Assalamu alaikum, but in a voice that will not waken the one who's sleeping, and it will be enough for the one who's awake to hear. See how beautiful they describe the voice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how low or how high it is. He would come in and say Assalamu alaikum, enough for those who are sleeping, this salam does not wake them up, and those who are awake, they would hear it. Okay? Like when we come into our home and say, not even say Assalamu alaikum. And he say, you know, Assalamu alaikum. Oh, I said it. You know, where? Those who are around must hear it. So he said, and then he said, well, Rasulullah would do that. Then he would pray 2 rak'at. Then he would go at the container of milk and drink milk. This was the habit of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he said, we were there, and the two who were with me went to sleep, and I was kind of hungry, and then I thought, you know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he comes to us, we feed him, you know, and so forth. What's the big deal? I know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will come and drink from the milk, but I'm hungry, so it's not going to hurt any. And he went, he said, I drank all the milk. And he said, I went to where I was to sleep, and he said, I could not sleep. Because now he feels guilty. And the way he put it, he said, Shaitan whispered to me this and that, so I go and I went and drank it. And after I drank it, now Shaitan whispered to me, Rasulullah will be mad at you and this and this and that. So he said, I was there, but I could not sleep. He said, I would cover my head and cover my leg and then move my head here and there, and it was very irritated with what I have done. And then he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam coming, so he just acted like he was sleeping. And he said, I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Assalamu alaikum in the tone that he would say, and then he went and prayed 2 rak'at and went to the milk, and then he looked at the container and there was no milk in it. Then he put his hand up to make dua, and he said, I got scared what Rasulullah ﷺ is going to say. Then Rasulullah ﷺ said, Allahumma at'im man at'amana wa asqi man asqana. Oh Allah, give food to the one who gives us food, and give to drink the one who gives us to drink. He said, I heard that, and Rasulullah ﷺ started going to sleep. I heard that. He said, I got up, I went out, and I got a knife, and I wanted to get a goat to slaughter for Rasulullah. So he would get the reward. So he would feed Rasulullah. So he will be among this dua. So he said, I went and I've seen that the goats have a lot of milk. So instead I got the deepest container, and I got milk until it was foaming up in the edge of the container. And I woke Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam up, said, Ya Rasulullah, for you, Ya Rasulullah. And Rasulullah sallallahu drank, and he finished. Then he said, no more, Ya Rasulullah. And Rasulullah sallallahu drank, and then he said, I laughed so much until I fell back. My head hit the ground. Okay. Then Rasulullah sallallahu said, you have done something bad. This is from what you have done that's bad. Okay, meaning this reaction. What did you do? Then he said, Ya Rasulullah, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam started, Al-Maqdad started telling Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about what happened, exactly what he did and so forth. And now he said, and now Ya Rasulullah, I wanted to get the reward of this dua, so I'm giving you to drink. Then he was waiting to see what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is going to say about that, about his behavior and so forth. So he said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam looked at me and said, shouldn't you wake up your two companions here so they can drink as well? And the matter is done. And the matter is done. Who Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is going to ask about at the day of judgment, when he is out of his grave? One narration said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say, Ummati, Ummati, my nation, my people, what happened to my people? What happened to them? As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on Al-Hawd, where the milk, the water that's from Al-Kawthar that comes coming out of Jannah, in Al-Hawd, in the day of judgment, he will be given the mu'mineen, the believers, to drink, the Muslimin to drink. So we wait anxiously to that time that will be coming to Rasulullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be looking at us, smiling at us, happy with us, and he would recognize us. Why? And the companions asked, Ya Rasulullah, how would you recognize us at that day? Meaning, many people and nations after nations, how do you recognize us? Then Rasulullah said, do you know if a man have horses that has white mark on the forehead and on the limbs, wouldn't he know his horses from all other horses? They said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. Then Rasulullah said, I will know you that day because the light that will come from you from the mark of wudu. Meaning your face will be light and your limbs, meaning your arms to the elbows and your feet will be light. So I would recognize you. Then Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu used to make wudu and then move all the way to under his arm with the water. So they asked, well, what you doing? This is not the wudu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, no, I remember this hadith, so I want Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to really see me with the wudu, with the light all the way to my shoulder. That is how aware he was with this as he's making wudu. Okay, we make wudu today and as if we're thinking about this, we're thinking about that, and after we're going about to pray, we do not quite remember what we have done. It becomes, the act of worship becomes a habit. So at that time, as Rasulullah ﷺ recognizes us and give us to drink, some will come and they would look like Muslimin, but they will not be able to reach Rasulullah ﷺ. And a barrier will come between them and Rasulullah ﷺ. And Rasulullah will say, Ummati, my people, we would look like the people of Rasulullah ﷺ. But Rasulullah, it would be said to Rasulullah ﷺ that they are not from your ummah. Baddalu, they have changed after you left them. They have changed after you left them. Another word, they started asking why. And maybe it is because of this, maybe because of that. Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? If this is our attitude, we do not love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our own children that we started the khutbah with, that we love so much, we will do whatever it takes and whatever our children want to please them. We'll go out of that, and even sometimes we reach to very close to haram and the makruh, so our children will be pleased. Now, we love our children more than we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Well, as a man companion was asking about when is the hour, when is the day of judgment, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after he finished the talk, he said, Man as-sa'il, who asked? He said, I asked, Ya Rasulullah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, instead of saying to him when is sa'a or answer him directly, he said, وَمَا أَعْدَدْتَ لَهَا, what did you prepare for it? He said, I did not prepare so much prayer and so much fasting, Rasulullah, but أُحِبُّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, but I love Allah and I love you, Ya Rasulullah. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahab, that the person will be with the one that he loves. The person will be with the one that he loves. Meaning that if there is some shortcoming, because of some pressures here and there, the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will take us the extra steps. Because we will be, according to the hadith, according to the promise, that we will be with the one that we love. To the point of the companion when he came running to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, very worried. What are you worried about? What is bothering you? He said, Ya Rasulullah, when I'm sitting with you, I can feel hellfire and paradise, and I'm happy with you, Ya Rasulullah, being with you. But when I go home, I'm kind of busy, but then I thought about coming back to you, Rasulullah, all the time. I want to be with you all the time. So at the time of death, you'll be in places that we will not be in, meaning in the hereafter. So what kind of paradise is it without you, Ya Rasulullah? So he's looking at Jannah and measuring Jannah without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's saying it does not have much importance for him. Because he truly loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he was not, taken by the description of Jannah as much as the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Quran for this companion and for those to come until the day of judgment. Those who follow Allah and His Messenger, فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا. That those who follow Allah and follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, remember the word is to follow. If you love, you follow. So they will be with the one, with the Nabiyyin, in the hereafter. Those who follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will be with the level with Nabiyyin. والصديقين, the prophets of Allah, the honorable one, the truthful one. والصالحين, and righteous one. And حسن أولئك رفيقا, and that is the best of companionship. That is the best of companionship. Do we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If we say yes, then we check our deeds, we check our ways, we check our following to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين ورحمة الله للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. When we go back and look at the companions and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the tenderness that was among them and the care and love, it's not just the words, it's the treatment. At one time, at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, that means Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came and died. Now it was the time of Umar. He was sitting in the masjid and one of the companions, he said, I felt a pebble hit me in my back. So I looked and here's Umar was sitting radiallahu anhu. He said, come to me. He indicated to him to come to him. He came to him and he said, so Umar radiallahu anhu says, could you go get me those two? And he pointed at two men. So he went and got them. He said, Umar would like to speak to you. So they came to Rasulullah, to Umar radiallahu anhu. Remember, they are sitting and here is the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there. It is the masjid of Rasulullah is there. So he said, where are you from? Umar radiallahu anhu asked him, where are you from? He said, we are from Ta'if. He said, if you were from Medina and living in Medina, I would have really hurt you with a stick and beat you up. He said, why? He said, because you're raising your voices. That's it. You're raising your voices in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning they're not quite aware of the etiquette of being there around the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That shows us how sensitive the companions were with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his life and after even his death. Just raising the voice. Okay? Now we do not just raise the voice, we disobey outright. Okay? We ask and question. And it is only because of our ignorance. Because if we know how easy life becomes when we follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we run to it. When we know how easy life becomes, following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not restriction. It is opening. It is opening the life to easiness. Okay? Those who did not understand wanted to follow so much that they made it difficult upon themselves. Rasulullah ﷺ told them, no, I stand up at night and I sleep. I fast and I break the fast. And I marry women, and this is my sunnah. Meaning, this is the way of the middle path. Is the best path. If we go to any other path, that means we're going to one extreme. Either not doing much or going to too much. That what it is. That is the Sirat al-Mustaqim. When we say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send us Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to show us what As-Sirat al-Mustaqim is. اللهم أنت أعلم بما في قلوبنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا. اللهم أنت أعلم بحاجتنا منا فاقضها لنا. اللهم أنت أعلم بسرنا وعلانيتنا فتقبل معذرتنا. اللهم اجعل لنا إيمانا صادقا في قلوبنا حتى نعلم أنه لا يصيبنا إلا ما كتبته لنا ولا ننال إلا ما كتبته لنا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وقوموا إلى الصلاة.